Next question on the same subject of immigration from Mr. Bishop. There are an estimated 11 million illegal immigrants living in the U.S. You have supported creating a path to citizenship for them. What would that path be? How would it work? And what would it cost?
The path to citizenship that I support is a path that is included in the compromise bill to which I referred a few moments ago, the bill that passed the Senate by a vote of 68 to 32. It is a path that would give each of the 11 or 12 or 14 million people who are here now without proper documentation, would give them a status so that they would not be subject to deportation. They would be allowed to work, but if they did work, they would be on legitimate payrolls, not working off the books, which they currently do. And then over a 15-year period, they would pay fines twice, they would pay back taxes twice, they would learn English, they would learn civics, and they would have to maintain an otherwise clean record. If at the end of those 15 years, they would then be granted citizenship. Now that's the compromise. Not everybody getting 100%, because by the very definition of compromise, it means people aren't getting 100% of what they want. That's the compromise that John McCain signed on to, and Lindsey Graham signed on to, and Mark Rubio signed on to, and Chuck Schumer signed on to, and 3 other Dems and 1 other Republican. That's the compromise that I support. Now, what does comprehensive immigration cost? Comprehensive immigration reform cost? The Congressional Budget Office, which is the nonpartisan scorekeeper of what the Congress does, has estimated that in the first 10 years of comprehensive immigration reform, we would reduce our deficit by $200 billion. And in the second 10 years, we would reduce it by $700 billion. So that's $900 billion over 20 years of deficit reduction. Where does this deficit reduction come from? It comes from people paying into the system that we all pay into. It comes from people being on legitimate payrolls as opposed to being in the underground economy the way they are now, paying FICA and paying Medicare taxes and paying income taxes. That's where it comes from. Now, is this a perfect solution? No, it is not. But is it a compromise that can pass the House of Representatives if the Speaker would ever allow it to come to the House? Yes, it would. And now here's the challenge. He talks about how Republicans and Democrats are equally at fault. He talks about gridlock. Here's the challenge. It passed the Senate. The Speaker, within days of it passing the Senate, announced the bill to be dead on arrival. He then said, we're going to make it up into smaller bills. We don't like big bills. We're going to do smaller bills. Guess what? That was 21 months ago. No smaller bills. So he hasn't addressed it at all. He then put out a set of principles that would guide Republicans' efforts on comprehensive immigration reform, and then 2 days later he was forced to withdraw the principles because he had a revolt on the far, far right. We need a conversation.
Yeah. Oh wait, sorry, 2 minutes. I got ahead of myself. He gets a minute after.
With regards to the Senate proposal, we take an oath to defend the Constitution. We have 2 separate houses. Something that might be good to pass the Senate doesn't mean that that is the only way. There are close to 400 different bills that were passed the House that are sitting on Harry Reid's desk. I'm all for legal immigration. I do not support amnesty. I do not support giving citizenship to people who are not here in the country legally. Now we have, on the North Fork, we have seasonal labor. They come every summer, they want to pay taxes, they go back home. The employers are suffering with the bureaucracy of trying to get permission in time to get their labor here. Same thing on the South Fork in the hospitality industry. We need to utilize our legal immigration process. Every nation's backbone is its rule of law. We also have students who come here to this country. We educate them. They get master's degrees, graduate degrees. Employers want to hire them. There are ways that we can utilize our legal immigration process to create opportunities there. I do not believe that this Congress, which is failing to get so much accomplished on so many different fronts, I don't understand why this one proposal to try to solve 300 different aspects of immigration has to be the only way. The first step is securing our borders. When you have a leak, the first thing you do is you turn off the faucet, you don't grab a mop. There is no way that we could possibly solve any of our challenges related to illegal immigration if we do not take it seriously the need to secure our borders first. President Reagan tried this 30 years ago. In his effort, people, critics said that if we did this, the illegal immigration problem may actually multiply, and that's exactly what happened. So any of these proposals, we should not be jumping the gun by doing all these other things before you actually secure our borders.
Of the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill to which I've been referring is very stiff additional border protection provisions. Everyone agrees that we can't move forward on any of the other pieces of comprehensive immigration reform, internal enforcement, visa reform, path to earned legalization, until we secure the borders and we're all comfortable with that. That's one of the principles of the comprehensive bill that I support. So it's a red herring to say that we're not securing the borders, we're not interested in securing the borders. The other thing I would say is we've got to live in the real world. Here's the real world on Long Island. 50% of the farm work that's done on Long Island is done by undocumented immigrants. If you ask any farmer on Long Island what their biggest problem is, most of them will tell you finding a workforce. And they're now paying $15, $18, $20 an hour, and they still have a hard time finding that workforce. And I'll guarantee you, farmers aren't waking up every morning saying, how do I get to break the law today? What they're waking up every morning to say is, how do I bring in my crop? We've got to deal with this issue, and this is the best way to do it.
Thank you. Your thoughts, each of you, for, say, 1 minute on a quick follow-up question, and that is, what do we do with the 11 million illegal immigrants who are already here? How do we deal with that, if you would?
Well, for everyone who is here, the ability to pay taxes, to contribute. There are a lot of individuals that are going through education process. They're getting free health care. They're getting other government benefits. They say that they are paying taxes. There are many different ways to pay taxes. There are more ways. You have employers that are bringing this workforce on, and they are unable to compete with you're a landscaper and you're hiring an immigrant workforce that is not here legally. You're trying to compete with someone else who is following the rules, and the landscaper who's following the rules ends up going out of business because they're charging $5 more a cut. I think that one of the keys is bringing them out of the shadows so that they have the ability to pay for some of the benefits that they are receiving. But to go to the extent of granting them citizenship, I cannot support that.
What we do with them is what the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill suggests we do. We put them on a 15-year path to earn citizenship. Now, when we were at the Newsday endorsement interview last week, my opponent and I agreed. That's right, we agreed. We agreed that deportation was not the answer. Now, the only other choice, if you don't do deportation and you don't do a path to earn legalization, is what's called attrition, what Mitt Romney talked about making it so miserable that people would leave. That doesn't work either. It's been tried. In several states across the country, it hasn't worked. I believe that the most workable, the most enforceable, and the most humane way to deal with a problem that has no easy solutions is to put people on a path to earned legalization, and that's precisely what this bill does, and that's why I support it.